Let's go! Batter up! We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game, today. The fans are out to get a ticket or two. From Walla Washington to Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a home run, but even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger card collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday morning, April 28th, and I am just hanging here emotionally drained. I have the day off today, but it's one of those days where you still kind of have to pay attention to your email. It's just been a long week, and I think I'm going to ramble a little bit before I show you any cards, and some of you are going to drop off right away, but after I start talking. But what's going on? Like I said, tonight, Lakers Game 6 NBA playoffs against Memphis. Tomorrow night, Game 6, Kings-Oilers, NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. I am exhausted watching the NHL. NBA I watched last night. I watched Boston get by Atlanta. And it's like nobody wants to get eliminated from series in either sport. I think Winnipeg finally got eliminated last night in the NHL, and I believe that the Milwaukee Bucks, of all teams, were eliminated in round one by Miami. So it's a good time if you like sports. Baseball's going on. Dodgers lost 2 of 3 from the Pirates. What's this world coming to? But good for the Pirates. And that's really it. Hobby-wise, I have been picking up, I'm not going to show them to you today because they haven't arrived, but for some reason lately I've been having good luck with the 1961 Topps All-Star cards, and I've picked up 3 in the past week for good prices, so I'm really happy with that. And I won't show them to you my next week's video, but I will definitely show them 2 videos from now. I've already got the next video planned out after today. I was I'm not planning anything hobby-wise this week, and I need to spend time with my mom. She's getting older. She's 88, and we're just getting to a point where we have to pay attention to her. So card collecting is going to come second for the weekend. So there's no point in doing shows or anything like that. But I was looking at my collection this weekend or past week. Lately, I've just been staring a lot at my cards. I guess really what I'm trying to say is here, sometimes we forget how nice our collections are. Everyone on YouTube, and I mean this, everyone on YouTube has a very nice baseball card collection. I don't care if you only have cards from 1979 to 1985. You have a very nice collection of baseball cards or sports cards. Some of us have dramatically huge collections. Some of us have several 100,000 cards in their collection. I'm not one of them. I think I have a nice card collection of roughly 20,000 cards. And lately I've been enjoying just looking at them. And do you ever look at your collection? I know I do this every so often. I was looking at my collection this weekend or this past week and kind of going, man, I have some nice cards. I've learned not to compare myself to other people, especially on YouTube, because there's some people on YouTube that just have amazing cards who've been doing this for 40 or 50 years and who never stopped. Yeah, I have been doing this for 40 or 50 years, but I've stopped for several years. And, I would say in the last 5, 7, 10 years is where I've gotten a lot more serious. But I think we all go through that. You start collecting cards as a kid, then you get to high school, you start finding out what girls are, and you want a car, and you go to college, you kind of put the cards away. Then after college, you kind of start tinkering around a little bit, buy a couple of sets. Then, some people get married, some people have kids. Their lives focus on being a family person or owning a house or tending to your garden, whatever that is. And somewhere, I would say probably in your 40s, maybe 50s, you have some extra cash, you have a good career, and you're like, I want to make my sports card collection better. And that's what you do. And you build it one card at a time. And I would never imagine 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, that's when I started collecting 50 years ago, of having the collection that I currently own today. Is it as good as that guy on YouTube who you've watched a few times, or you're going to watch after my video, or you watched before my video? Probably not, but that's okay. I'm proud of my collection, and it only continues to get better. So remember that when you're going through your card collection, don't compare yourself to other people. If you saved all your, if you've saved up for the last year to buy a 1956 Topps War and Spawn and a PSA 5 and you got it, be proud of yourself. Congratulations. It's a great looking card. Somebody on Twitter several months ago, I'll never forget this. He sent me a link of a video of himself opening one of his Grail cards, and he goes, I want you to see this. And I go, I've got to see this. What's it going to be? And sometimes you have illusions. Is he going to open a 1933 Babe Ruth, a 1915 Cracker Jack type Cobb, a 1955 Topps Roberto Clemente? He opened a 1970 Topps Nolan Ryan. Great card. I owned it. I was pretty excited. But to see this guy's face when he opened that card was incredible. And the one thing I like about card collecting is you don't sit there and say, I have that card. No, you say, dude, congratulations, that's an amazing card. And that's just something I want some of you collectors, new or old, when you're watching. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Be proud of every card you have. Every time I get a card, I say to myself, this is a nice addition to my card, and I'm really happy. All right, I've rambled, and you guys, everyone probably thinks I'm drunk. I'm just tired. But what am I going to do today? Today, I am going to show you my 1952 Bowman, I almost said Topps, my 1952 Bowman Dodger team set. It's a set, again, I'm very proud of. It took me a little while to build. It's a beautiful set. I've seen a lot of Bowman cards lately on YouTube, and I thought, let me take out my Bowmans and show off a team set for you. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'll be right back. So before I show you my 1952 Bowman Dodgers, let's take a really quick recap of what Bowman has done so far at this point. They came out in 1948. Their second set, the 48 set, was a very small set. There were only 3 Dodger cards in there. And then there's the 1949 Bowman set, which is here featured with Robin Roberts on the left. 1950, we got a little bit more colorful with the artist renderings, Bob Feller. And then in 1951, we had a lot of the same, not a lot, but we had some reproductions from the 1950 set. The artwork was enlarged a little bit, and now the cards featured a player's name on here, as you see Larry Doby in the lower right-hand corner. By 1952, Topps had their famous set, which featured 407 cards. Bowman at this point had reduced their card sets. 1951 was 340. 1952 Bowman is 252 cards. 1952 Bowman also does not feature Ted Williams or Jackie Robinson. By this point, Jack was completely had his cards with Topps. Now 1952 Bowman does feature Stan Musial, and that's something that the Topps set from that year doesn't have. But now we're going to take a look at the 1952 Bowman Dodger team set, starting with Pee Wee Reese. So Pee Wee had become the Dodgers team captain in 1950. In 1951, he had his career high in RBIs with 84. And in 1952, he led the National League in stolen bases with 30. Now, here's where you notice the differences in the cards is that the players' names are not on front of the cards like they were in 1951. You do see the facsimile autograph there. But it's still a good looking artwork. And you see the crowd in the background. I think this is a nice looking set. Here's the background. I really do. Some people don't like this set. I actually do. Yeah, every so often I do look at a card and I go, who is that? And you have to kind of look. But it's a good looking Pee Wee Reese card from 1952. Here is a Carl Furillo card. During spring training of 1952, the New York Journal American called Furillo one of the best players in the game, calling his style one of close mechanical perfection. Now, Furillo batted only .247 for the 1952 Dodgers, though he was selected to his first All-Star team. He was diagnosed with cataracts and he had surgery in the offseason and returned with perhaps his best season, winning the batting title and collecting 21 home runs and 92 RBIs in 1953. This is a nice looking card. Excellent pose. I think this set is highly underrated. Good looking card. Roy Campanella. He was coming off his 1951 season where he won the first of 3 National League MVP awards, where he hit 33 home runs and 108 RBIs with a .325 batting average. Campanella had an off year by his standards, hitting only 22 home runs, 97 RBIs, and a .269 batting average in 1952. But Campanella would rebound, have arguably his best season when he won the MVP award for the second time in 1953. And I want to see if I always look at this. I've always felt that these Campy's card looks kind of gray, and I keep wanting to find one in person to see if the card looks, his uniform might be a little bit more white, or the photograph just a little, or the artwork a little lighter. I've always thought this just looked a little dark, but I still love this. I believe that would be the Ebbets Field right field wall behind him. But very nice card here. That's Roy Campanella. Pictured here is Clyde King, a member of the 1947 and 1952 pennant-winning Brooklyn clubs. He failed to appear in either World Series. This was really his claim to fame as a player. He's a little bit more popular as a manager. In 1969, King was the skipper for the San Francisco Giants. They finished runner-up to the Braves that year in 1969, and King clashed with Giants star Willie Mays during the year. And there was a misunderstanding on whether Mays was supposed to play or not in a game against the Astros. Now, according to Mays, King threatened to fine Giants manager Horace Stoneham. He wouldn't permit it. But Chub Feeney, the general manager, made Mays apologize to King, not wanting to create a rift on the ball club. I lost any respect I ever had for King, Mays wrote in his autobiography. I thought of him as a backstabber. And we didn't talk the rest of the year in 1969. When the 1970 Giants got off to a 19-23 start, King was fired. Later resurfaced as manager with the Braves in the mid-70s and with the Yankees for part of the 1982 season. And again, that looks like it's Ebbets Field in the background in this card. That's the back. That's Clyde King from 1952. Carl Erskine, he pitched the first of his 2 career no-hitters against the Chicago Cubs on June 19th, 1952. Let's look at his card. Some of these cards have wrinkles in the back, but still, this is at least overall a VG set. But so far, I've really enjoyed the look of every card I've showed you. So that's Carl Furillo. Newest Hall of Fame inductor, Gil Hodges. In 1951, he became the first member of the Dodgers to ever hit 40 home runs, breaking Babe Herman's 1930 mark of 35 home runs. With his last home run of 1952, he tied Dolph Camilli's Dodger career record of 139. Hodges was a great fan favorite in Brooklyn. Hodges was perhaps the only Dodger regular never booed at their home park, Ebbets Field. Fans were supportive even when Hodges suffered through one of his most famous slumps in baseball history. After going hitless in his last 4 regular season games of 1952, he also went hitless in all 7 games of the 1952 World Series against the Yankees, finishing the series 0 for 21 at the plate, with Brooklyn losing to the Yankees in 7 games. When Hodges' slump continued into the following spring, fans reacted with countless letters and good luck gifts. And one Brooklyn priest, Father Herbert Redmond of St. Francis Roman Catholic Church, told his flock, "It's far too hot for a homily. Keep the commandments and say a prayer for Gil Hodges." Hodges began hitting soon afterward and rarely struggled again in the World Series. It's a great story. And here is Gil up close, his 1952 Bowman card. Cal Abrams. His one contribution to the Dodgers wasn't much. On June 9th, 1952, he was traded by the Dodgers to the Cincinnati Reds. Here's the case of a player that had very little impact on the team in 1952, but Bowman still made a card of him. That's Cal Abrams. Ralph Branca. We all know how his season ended in 1951, giving up the home run to Bobby Thompson, the shot heard round the world. A back injury suffered during spring training in 1952 limited Branca's effectiveness thereafter. He was never really the same pitcher. Branca appeared in only 12 games for the Dodgers during the 1952 season. And in the 8th inning of Game 7 of the 1952 World Series against the Yankees, Branca was ejected from the dugout by home plate umpire Larry Goetz for bench jockeying. Branca was only the second player in MLB history to be ejected from a World Series, and the first who was not actually in the game at the time. He didn't make an appearance in the World Series in 1952, and by 1953, early 1953, his injuries continued, and eventually Branca ended up on the Tigers. But that's a good-looking Ralph Branca card as well. Duke Snider. One of the things I always tell you guys on YouTube is I love learning new things about players that I thought I knew a lot about. And in this case, doing some research for Duke Snider, I was surprised to learn a couple of things. In 1950, he hit .321 and led the National League with 199 base hits and 343 total bases, earning his first All-Star Game appearance. Now, when his average slipped to .277 in 1951, the season where the Dodgers lost a 13-game August lead and finished second to the Giants after the previously mentioned Bobby Thompson home run, Snider was roundly criticized in the newspaper. Snider recalls, "I went to Walter O'Malley and I told him I couldn't take the pressure. And I told him I'd just as soon be traded. I told him I figured I could do the Dodgers no good." Naturally, the trade didn't happen. Luckily for Dodger fans, Duke Snider stuck around for another 10 years. And again, here he is featured in his 1952 card. That's a beauty. I think I paid $40 for this card in its day. Good looking there, Duke Snider card. Don Newcomb, coming off his first 20-game season in 1951, Newcomb spent the 1952 and the 1953 seasons serving in military duty during the Korean War. I'm surprised that Bowman actually released his card knowing he was in the military. I know that Topps did not release cards for players like Whitey Ford, who were serving in the military. It's a good looking, look at it, look at the scowl on his face, typical Nuke. Famous Dodger, passed away a couple of years ago at 92. He did a lot for the community, did a lot for some former players, suffered from substance abuse, alcoholism. He was able to straighten out his life, and he helped out some fellow players get their lives back in order, including Maury Wills. Billy Cox. He was a starting shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1946 and 1947, before being traded to the Dodgers along with Preacher Rowe and Gene Mock for Dixie Walker, Hal Gregg, and Vic Lombardi. Cox was the third baseman of the Dodgers infield that included Gil Hodges, Jackie Robinson, and Pee Wee Reese. The one thing that bums me out about when I think about Billy Cox was that he played for the Dodgers from 1948 through 1954. After the 54 season, he was traded to the Baltimore Orioles, where he finished his career in 1955 with them. So naturally, he didn't get to, he played in a lot of World Series, but he didn't stick around, or unfortunately the Dodgers traded him before he could win a World Series with the Dodgers. And that is Billy Cox. Edwin Charles Rowe, otherwise known as Preacher Rowe. The nickname Preacher came at the age of 3 when an uncle asked his name, and Rowe responded, Preacher, because of a minister who would take him on horse and buggy rides. Rowe posted an exceptional 22-3 one-loss record for the Dodgers in 1951, becoming only the 5th player since 1916 to begin the season 10-0. Had he not lost his second-to-last start of the year, he would have become the first, and to date only pitcher, ever with at least a .900 winning percentage, and at least 20 wins in a season. Rowe, as I mentioned earlier, or was mentioned earlier, came to the Dodgers in a trade that brought Billy Cox to the Dodgers from the Pirates. Unfortunately, after the 1954 season, Rowe was also traded with Cox to the Baltimore Orioles. He retired at that point. He was 39 years old, so he never got to participate also on the Dodger teams, on the Dodger team from 1955 that went on to win a World Series. Stumbling through my words. But Preacher was one of the great Dodgers of the 50s. Manager Charlie Dressen took over for Bert Schotten right before the 1951 season. Fresh from winning the pennant in 1952 and 1953 with 105 regular season victories, Dressen decided to publicly demand a 3-year contract from Walter O'Malley instead of the customary 1-year deal the Dodgers then offered their managers. When O'Malley didn't yield, Dressen effectively resigned when the owner allowed his old contract to expire. Who became the Dodger manager? Walter Alston. He signed 22 consecutive 1-year deals and went on to become a Hall of Fame manager. And here's Charlie Dressen with the clouds in the background. And there's his back. I think he went on later to manage the Tigers in the 60s. Andy Pafko. We know his 1952 Topps card number 1, arguably one of the most popular cards of the set. One of the hardest cards to find in excellent condition. Here's his 1952 Bowman card. Pafko was traded to the Dodgers in June of 1951 during the middle of the season. He was the left fielder when Bobby Thompson hit the famous shot heard round the world. He played 1 full season for the Dodgers in 1952, hitting 19 home runs and 85 RBIs. Here's a move that I really don't get about what the Dodgers did, and I don't have the info on what they were thinking. But after the 1952 season, and as I mentioned, he had solid numbers. Pafko returned home when he was traded to the Milwaukee Braves before the start of the 1953 season, becoming the only Wisconsin native on the Braves roster when they arrived in Milwaukee, and participating in their strong contending teams there, including the 1957 World Champions. The Dodgers traded Pafko to the Braves for Roy Hartsfield, who later was a Dodger coach for 20 years, and he was the first manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. But he never played for the Dodgers, where Andy Pafko had 6 seasons with the Braves. So that's one of the head scratchers here when I think of Andy Pafko. Good shot there. That's Andy Pafko. Two more cards here. Johnny Schmitz. Now, Schmitz never played a full season with the Dodgers. In parts of 1951 and 1952, Schmitz went 2-5 with a 4.96 ERA in 26 games. Now, Billy Lowe's, he's an interesting character. He distinguished himself in several ways during the 1952 World Series. When asked how the Dodgers would fare, he predicted the Yankees would win in 7, but was misquoted as saying the Yankees would actually win in 6. Now, during the 6th game, he committed a balk. In the 7th inning, he was starting his windup when the ball dropped from his hand. Too much spin on it, he'd said later. Then a grounder hit by Yankee pitcher Vic Rashi bounced off his leg for a single, allowing a run to score. Afterward, he said he lost the ground ball in the sun. Lowe said he did not want to be a 20-game winner because then I'd be expected to do it every year. His career high in wins came in 1953 when he went 14-8 for the pennant-winning Dodgers. So those are the 1952 Bowman Dodgers. I had a lot of fun putting this set together. It's been a few years, but the 1952 Bowman is a really beautiful set. I would highly encourage you, if you're thinking of working on just having some cards, or if you want to build a team set, even the regular set, I would give it a shot. It's like I said, good looking set, good looking artwork. I don't know what the prices are anymore, but give it a chance. You never know. Thanks so much for sticking around with me, you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you soon.